back to the channel. It's been a very long time since we've made a YouTube video. It's been over a year since I've made a YouTube video. What this video today is about is the new tax credits that are very confusing. Just to get into it really quick, we're gonna talk about the old tax structure. So the old tax structure was pretty simple, right? It was $7,500 per vehicle sold, right? That was a battery electric vehicle, there was a kilowatt limit and everything like that. Every manufacturer got 200,000 vehicles that they got to sell that would receive this tax credit. $7,500 to the purchaser. That would come off of their tax liability for the year that they bought it for. So when they file their taxes the next year, they would file that if they owed $7,500 in taxes to the government, to the federal government. After 200,000, the way it would work is the very next quarter, the credit would be cut into half. So $3,750, and that would last for 2 quarters. And then after those 2 quarters were over with, it got cut in half again to $1,875, and that lasted 2 more quarters. So that's all pretty simple. That was all there is to it, right? The new tax credit completely cut off that tax credit. So it was signed in, I think, August 17th of last year. And once it was signed into law, it basically completely took away the previous credit. There's 2 parts to this. First, you had it signed, which removed the old tax credit. Then you had the period of time between August 17th, the day it was signed by the president, to December 31st, or the end of 2022, where there's kind of this in-between period. And then a lot of things start January 1st. We'll talk real quickly kind of where it was between those, although it's irrelevant now. But a lot of car companies did not have the ability to receive it any longer. And then those car companies who had already met their 200,000 volume of electric vehicles sold still could not sell electric vehicles and get the tax credit. There were handfuls that could still get it. The rules were that it had to be assembled, final assembly, in the US. That's all there was for those as well. So for example, Volkswagen built a plant in Tennessee to build ID4s. There's a small window between the end of the year and when they started doing that, where they were making those cars here in the US in final assembly. Those cars got eligible during that small little window. The big thing here, a lot of the main car players at the time before this bill was signed had the ability to get the $7,500 tax credit. We're talking about your Audis, your Volkswagens, non-made in America, right? ID4s and different things. You had Hyundai, which has really been hitting the road strong. Kia, which was like the Kia EV6. Those cars no longer got the tax credit, which was a big slam. Tesla hasn't had it since 2019, so they didn't really care one way or the other. All right, so what we have here is where we have the list of what was available between August 17th and December 31st. These links will be down in the description below. So you can see here a lot of vehicles are available that are hybrids. And then they say if they had the sales cap here, those were not available. Okay. And kind of just scroll down. You can see a lot of these. The Rivian, for example, was still eligible. There's no price cap or anything like this between the end of the year and when the bill was signed. Now, if we move on to January 1st, 2023 to 2024, this is where it starts to get very confusing with the new tax credit rules. After December 31st, there's a couple of things. So you've got price caps that are there. You've got max salaries that you can have for the people buying the car. You have the tax liability. You have battery sizes. You have where it's built with final assembly, and then you also have battery components and battery minerals sourcing locations. Again, the main tax credit that you can get is $7,500. Your salary cap is $300,000 for filing jointly, $225,000 for head of household, and $150,000 for filing single. As you can see here, where we have $300,000, $225,000, and $150,000 for filing by yourself. All right, qualified vehicles. We've got a capacity of 7 kilowatt hours. We've got a gross vehicle less of 14,000. Those are pretty simple things to get. Those aren't really complicated. Where it starts to get complicated, other than, these is all for new vehicles, and the sellers have to tell you, and this is kind of important because the seller is supposed to tell you if the vehicle is or is not eligible for tax credit when you go to buy it from the dealership or wherever you go buy it. So then in addition to that, there's a cap for the MSRP. MSRP is all of the basic cost, the add-ons that you have to it, the extra costs for certain levels of the vehicle and things like that. What it does not include is delivery charges and dealer markup that we knew up until just a few days ago. Actually, it's $80,000 cap for vans, sport utility vehicles, and pickup trucks. But then it's $55,000 for any other vehicle. The next thing is you've got $3,750 of that $7,500 is from battery component sourcing and manufacturing value, and then $3,750 of it is battery mineral sourcing location. This is where it gets more complicated because as the years go here, you can see critical minerals and percentage value requirements. So in other words, in 2023, starting now, 40% of all the minerals that are put into the batteries need to be sourced from a U.S. free trade agreement partner or recycled in North America. And so you can go and look who these are, but China's not one of them, which is one of the main locations these minerals come from. Russia's not going to be one of them. Usually it's going to be Canada, Mexico. There's some other locations that are allowed, but a lot of them are not currently. So this is a big change, and as you can see, 2024 you're going to get a 50%, 60%, 70%, and then 80% after 2027. Okay, so then you have battery components. This makes up the other $3,750. And the way that's going to work is your battery components that you're going to build the battery out, not minerals. I'm not sure if it's electric motors and different things like that, but it's a big portion to the manufacture of an electric vehicle. This is your meat and potatoes of the vehicle, basically. I want to make sure that it is produced here. This is the components. 2023, you've got 50% of them need to be in these locations in North America. And the way this one is, this isn't sourced or anything with a U.S. free trade agreement. This is actually the percentage of the value of the batteries components that are manufactured or assembled in North America. So what this does is there needs to be a plant here in the U.S. that is manufacturing / assembling these battery components here. We're not getting a battery pack shipped to us already pre-built, basically. 50% of the materials in 2023, 24, 25, 60%, as it keeps going. And then after 2029, 100% of those. So new cars allowed. We'll look here at the screen. So a lot of plug-in hybrids are eligible. This is a hybrid. None of the other Audis, which they have a lot of electric vehicles, are on here because of where they are manufactured. BMW, all hybrids. Ford, there's a couple electric cars here. You've got the e-Transit, which is their commercial product. You've got the Lightning, but that is talking about the applicable MSRP, $80,000 because it's a pickup truck. Mach-E, which is kind of a CUV or a compact SUV, but they're calling that 55,000 cap, which means most of them won't be eligible. Then you've got the Aviator and the Corsair. Both of these are hybrids. GM, you've got Bolt. This is an electric vehicle. This will most likely always be under $55,000. You can get these fairly cheap. It'll get the full $7,500. This is going to be one of your lowest cost cars, you can probably get this car for under $20,000 after you've gotten your thing and you get the low spec version. You get the Bolt EUV, same thing. Maybe not quite as low as cheap as the regular Bolt. Then you have the Cadillac Lyriq. This is a fully electric vehicle. It will probably not go under $55,000 though. That thing is an SUV, and they did not put it at the $80,000 limit, which I expect there to be big pushback from GM to their legislators and lobbying to get that to be changed, because it's clearly an SUV and they put it as other. So that's an issue. No Hyundais, no Jaguars, no Kias, no Mazda, no Mercedes, no Mitsubishi. Nissan. Okay, so let's talk about the Nissan. All of these are Leafs. These are all fully electric vehicles. They are all under the $55,000, which they most likely will be priced under that. So all of these will be eligible for $7,500 tax credit. The really important thing here is their tax credit was gone before, so they're getting it back because they'd sold over 200,000 vehicles. So this is a big deal for Nissan, and that's a good car. Rivian, both of these, you have the R1S, which is their SUV that looks a lot like their R1T, which is their pickup truck. Both of these are under $80,000. Problem here is most of those trucks are over $80,000, unless you get the very bare bones. I think it's single motor and the smallest battery pack, which does not have long range. Then you can maybe get the $7,500 tax credit. Is the vehicle worth it then? I don't know if I can say it is. All right, Stellantis. This is all hybrid stuff, good hybrid stuff. The Ford Wrangler here, 4xe, is a pretty good electric hybrid vehicle. So it will be eligible for that $7,500 tax credit almost all the time. Grand Cherokee might spec out above 80,000, but I'm not sure. All right, Tesla. So Tesla's getting their credit back for the first time in 2 years. This is kind of the weird thing, though. Another weird thing about how they did this. So they've got the Model 3 rear-wheel drive. That's $55,000. That makes sense, 100%. That car, rear-wheel drive, you can get it for under $55,000. So that's going to be a good deal. That's also the short range. Then you have the long range version, which is all-wheel drive Model 3. This is what I currently drive. When I purchased it previously in 2019, it was the base color white, base all the way across, and it was $49,000. Now that car is $59,000. So this is, you're not gonna get it under $55,000. So that one's not getting it. It says it's eligible, but it doesn't matter. The Tesla Model Y, this is the funny thing. These cars are all identical. Every car listed here is Model Y. You've got the long range and the all-wheel drive, and then you have the performance version. The difference is that they're shown here is you've got the 3 7-seat versions and the 3 5-seat versions. All it is where they add a third row to the back. You lose some storage capability, and it's a $3,000 upgrade to add that 7 seat. Those seats in there, $3,000. That car will come under $80,000. But the weird thing is that the 5-seat, which is the exact same car with one less row of seats, they put it at $55,000, which you can never get one of these at $55,000 ever. Base spec is $59,000, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, no tax credit for any good Tesla. Let me put it that way. Volkswagen ID4. This is the same thing as the Model Y. Volkswagen ID4. You've got 55,000 ones, and then you got 80,000. These are all the exact same car. The difference, all-wheel drive gets $80,000, so it has 2 motors instead of 1. Same size car. Matter of fact, these two down here that are 80,000 have less range because they have 2 motors. They only get 250 miles of range versus 280 miles of range that the two-wheel drive versions have. The ones that I wanted. I will say ID4 is a little bit different here because you can usually get an ID Pro for around $49,000, $47,000, something like that. So some of these may be under the 55 that you can get them. Volvo here, they got the Volvo S60s and all this stuff. The next thing with the tax credit is they're going to support used electric vehicles. The used electric vehicles has also a salary cap. It needs to be here in the US when you buy it used. It needs to have a price of less than $25,000. Good luck finding that with a good electric vehicle. It needs to be at least 2 years old. It can't be one that, you know, somebody bought and then was reselling it to you, which helps with the $25,000 limit, I guess. The credit that's available for the used car is up to $4,000. But with that being said, it's up to $4,000 or 30% of the value of the car. So for example, if it was a $25,000 car, then 30% is $7,500. You'd get the total $4,000 only as a tax credit, which brings that price of that car down to $21,000. That's actually not bad. All right. In order for the $4,000 to be equal to 30%, you need roughly $13,000 through $33, $330 of a sale price for the $4,000 to meet the 30%. Anything under $13,000, you're going to get less than $4,000 in tax credit because the 30% is smaller than $4,000. It's one or the other. So $10,000 for a vehicle, you're going to get roughly $3,000 off $7,000 car. It's a lot of money. $5,000, you're going to get $1,500 off. So this was an article just kind of summing up a lot of the investment into the U.S. manufacturing sector already just in the last year, because this bill has been being talked about for over a year and it was signed in August. The automotive companies have already started moving what they need to do to get these tax credits to their consumers, basically. See here on the screen this chart. So in the last couple of years, we're talking $73 billion in investment estimated in the last year. A lot of that since this bill was signed. That's 3 times more than the previous year. And this is all battery manufacturing and assembly plants being built here in the U.S. In South Carolina, we've heard of, I think, 3 different ones. There's one in Florence County, there's one down in Charleston, and there's one near Spartanburg. There's also going to be a recycling center being put here in South Carolina. That's 4 plants, and there started being investment in the U.S. bringing American jobs here because of this. We're finally going to be making these things here again. And to me, that's more important than me getting a tax credit. So to me, this is a big thing that's going to make us as a nation more competitive. And you can say what you like about electric vehicles and this and that, but there's a reality to it, and there's no stopping a full transition of it to a sustainable automotive transport. It will happen. So would it be better to be the guys who know how to do it, or the guys who are just buying it from other people because we kind of sat on our hands and didn't do something? Sometimes you got to man up and do the job. All right, so thanks if you liked the video, if it was helpful. If you have any other questions, if you're looking to buy a car, it's important to look at this stuff and try to understand, is the car you're looking at gonna get you any money savings? And I hope this was helpful. Leave a like if it was, and we'll talk to you next time.